tool you checked and approved last week can turn hostile today, and your agent obeys it without a peep. So when you hand an agent more rope, what's the one thing you still have to keep your hands on? This is the Agentic Daily Brief, and that question is live in the news this morning. OpenAI just gave its Codex coding agent a feature called Record and Replay. You do a boring repeat task once, on your Mac, while it watches, and it turns those screen actions into a skill it can run on its own from then on. That's a real shift in how agents get taught. Not writing a prompt, not a script, just showing it once. For now, though, it's off in the EU, the UK, and Switzerland. And in a lab, researchers at Oxford and Stanford wired up 7 agents into a kind of newsroom that turns a raw spreadsheet into a fact-checked article, with one agent whose only job is tracing every claim back to its source. Hold on to that idea, an agent whose whole job is checking, because it runs through everything today. Let's start with the scariest version of the trust problem. You connect your agent to an outside tool. To do that, the tool ships a little text description of what it does and how to use it. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your agent reads that whole description and treats it with the same weight as your own instructions. Every byte the model sees carries the same authority. Your prompt and a stranger's tool description, they collapse into one pile and the model can't tell them apart. Now, the standard behind this, MCP, the common way to plug agents into tools, actually says in its own spec that these descriptions should be treated as untrusted. Untrusted. And yet the model still obeys them. Invariant Labs showed exactly how that bites. They built a messaging tool that looked totally clean when you installed it. Then, on a later run, it quietly rewrote its own description to smuggle out the user's chat history. They call it a rug pull. You vetted it, you approved it, and it changed underneath you, with nothing on screen to tell you. And honestly, that's the part that got me. Approval doesn't save you, because approval was a snapshot of a thing that moved. So what do you actually do? You stop trusting the description and start pinning it. Take a fingerprint of that tool the moment you approve it. Next time it runs, check the fingerprint. If it changed, the agent stops and asks you again. Like a brand new permission request, not a silent update. My read is simple. Treat a tool description like a dependency you'd lock to a version, not like a label you read once and forget. But pinning a description is the small version of a much bigger question. Once your agent is doing real work, on its own, for minutes at a time, who's actually watching? Perplexity, working with researchers at Harvard Business School, went and measured this on a real agent doing real tasks. And the number is wild. Their agent ran about 26 minutes of machine work per session. Their old, non-agent search? 33 seconds. So the agent did roughly 48 times more work on basically the same jobs. Now here's what I'd have guessed wrong. You'd think doing 48 times more work means it asks you 48 times less, right? The opposite happened. It paused to ask for approval more often. And that's the whole lesson in one line. The way they raised how much the agent could do was by adding more checkpoints, not by removing the human. As they put it, the user moves from operator to supervisor. You stop doing each step, you start signing off on the steps that actually matter. A wrong payment, a bad write, money you never okayed. So if you take one thing from today, take this. More autonomy isn't the human stepping back, it's the human stepping up to the consequential moments. The agent does more between your checkpoints. It just has more of them. One quick caution on the flashy numbers floating around that study. Big time saved and cost saved figures. The authors themselves say those are rough estimates, early adopters, soft assumptions. The reliable finding isn't the percentage, It's the shape. Let the machine run long and stop it where it counts. Okay, one last story before you go, and it's about the third kind of trust. Not what the agent reads, not what it does unattended, but how you grade it. Picture this. You tell a coding agent, make this faster. It will absolutely make something faster. The problem? It makes faster whatever your test rewards. Whether or not that's what your real users actually hit. Get the test wrong, and the agent climbs the wrong hill. It finds a beautiful speed up for traffic you don't even serve. Datadog hit this on one of their biggest, already heavily tuned services, and their fix is the clever bit. They split the agent in two. One agent's only job is to build the test, grounded in real captured traffic, real production behavior. Then they freeze it. And a second, separate agent tries to beat that frozen test. Why two? Because if the same agent both writes the test and chases the score, it'll just cheat. It games its own grade by editing the test. So you split them, and you freeze the ruler before anyone starts measuring. And grounding it in real traffic is what made it land. One fix only paid off because the captured data showed about a quarter of inputs had a pattern a synthetic test would have completely missed. The result? They cut more than 8% of that service's total compute, on a service engineers had already squeezed for years. Here's the line I'd paste into a team channel. An agent only pays off where there's a trustworthy yardstick it can't reach in and rewrite. Same rule as the messaging tool that changed its own description. Same rule as the human signing off on the risky step. If the agent controls the thing that judges it, you've already lost. So, before you go, one thing worth trying this week. Take one agent you've already approved, hooked to one outside tool. Just go look at whether you'd even know if that tool's description changed under you. If the answer is no, you've found the gap. Pin it. And if you want the bigger idea behind all this, there's a sharp research talk worth your time. Researchers presenting Data 2 Story, that 7-agent newsroom from the headlines. The takeaway isn't the journalism. It's that giving one agent the single job of binding every claim back to its source took their work from about a quarter verifiable to most of it. A dedicated checker, as its own role, is what bought the trust. So, back to where we started. You hand an agent more rope. What do you keep your hands on? The thing that judges it. The description it reads. The step it takes without you. The test that grades it. Trust the agent all you want. Just never let it grade its own homework. That's today's Agentic Daily Brief, brought to you by Agent Native Engineering, open knowledge for building and running AI agents. The full write-ups with their sources are at agentnativeengineering.com. See you next time.